Hello, this is Francisco Morales, and this is the fourth video for my application towards the Harrisburg University Varsity Hearthstone team. And battle tag verification right here, selenite 11807, same as the previous videos. And it has been a significant amount of time since the last video I made. Last video I made, it was March 2nd, March 3rd. Ranked play was just reestablished because the laddering change caused about a bug that forced ranked to be disabled for a couple days, and combination of midterms and spring break and trying to get back into the swing of things. It is now the 22nd of March, about 20 days after. I've done a little bit of climbing, but not too much because, again, it's been a little busy. I'll definitely be playing more as the month comes to a close. And we're now rank 9. And for this video, I'm gonna just be heading into ranked, playing some Control Warlock. Here's the replay page on this. I can pull up the deck list here as well, and this is just to show some basic stats. I haven't played too much. This was it was between this and a couple other decks that aren't logged because I wasn't having deck tracker running for a while. But we'll see here that the deck for this is mostly standard fare. Dark Pact, so that we can get the triggers off of Rand and Possessed Lackey in situations where we're paranoid that there might be some kind of silence or steal. It's honestly more effective as a denial tool than it is for the heal in some cases. In aggro matchups, there's absolutely value to be had from Dark Pacting a Lackey into Void Lord, which is a healing for 17, which can absolutely just win you the game in a single turn. However, there's also a lot of value to be had where, say, you're going against a Priest, and you know you need to get Rin going, but you think they might be doing pint-sized Cabal or Silence. In a situation where you need to get that death rattle off, you can simply just combo whatever you're needing to get in with Dark Pact and just immediately guarantee you get that effect off, and that honestly seems to be the biggest benefit that this deck can provide. Not the deck, but the card itself. I was on the fence. I was on the fence for the longest time about the card. It was the last, I guess you could say, staple that I actually decided to put in. You can see here, 1.0, didn't run it. I was running, this is a very teched version of the deck. I had Mountain Giants, I had Geist, I had Tar Lurker for aggro. Only one Lackey because I didn't have a terrible amount of demons and I didn't want to draw dead. Dreadlord for aggro. Tankmaster Overspark for cubes. And then I think it's around 1.4 that I actually throw in Dark Pact for the first time, and my win rate jumped up about a solid 10%. And then I started dropping Doomsayer, dropped Plated Beetle. And that's how we got to here where we are now. And any kinds of interesting tech choices, Acidic Swamp Ooze is twofold in that it gives me a potential turn 2 play, which doesn't feel that substantial when typically turn 2 tap is common Warlock procedure. But if you're going against a kind of deck that is really trying to establish itself early, you want to be, 1, holding onto that 2 life, and 2, actually getting some kind of tempo out. Not to say that a Swamp Ooze is a lot of tempo, but it's absolutely something, and a 3-2 can usually trade fairly decently. Especially if you're going against a Paladin that didn't start the greatest, you might be able to kill something somewhat substantial. Nosferatu, same deal. It's a 2-drop, a bit more of a durable body. It's decent against, again, Paladin because the amount of early 3-attack stuff they have is minimal, so it usually does 2-for-1 trades against them. And the ability to mill the top card off their deck gets them a little closer into fatigue, and in some fringe cases will actually just completely win you the game. Although it's definitely not something you want to be relying on. In a matchup where you are going against a mill rogue, if you can time correctly with at the end game where you're both at fatigue, or the rogue's hitting fatigue, and they're trying to stack Kingsbanes to try to get the to try to avoid fatigue damage as much as possible, as they tend to do with the Shadow card. You can Acidic Swamp Ooze their stacked Kingsbane if they ever make the mistake of doing so, and then immediately Gnome Feratu it, and they've just lost their one late game condition, and that pretty much wins the game. Besides that, Culpable Librarian, it's just a really good card. Really good card, triggers Spellstone, Mistress of Mixtures, really good one-drop, really good synergies with Dark Pact, synergies with Defile, synergies with N'Zoth for late game heal. Overall, just really, really solid. It's probably like the fairest card to come out of Gadget Zone, and I'm kind of upset that it's leaving because it just feels so solid and reliable. Defile, it's board clear. Pretty much goes without saying. Tainted Zealot is in here specifically for Defile. I found that in a lot of matchups, especially those involving either Divine Shields or other Warlocks, it can be hard to get precisely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus chain. And so the Defile is there for that tiny bit of reach. Something that can even be done is Tainted Zealot, Mistress of Mixtures, Defile. That's a guaranteed combo. More often than not, clear most of the big damage off the board, heals you for 4, and just kind of resets the game with the effectiveness of a Twisting Nether for much less mana and value cost. It has won me an enormous amount of games on its own, and so it's something that I always run as a one of, just because that value is something really, really hard to turn down. Stonehill Defender, it's an anti-aggro value that gives you more anti-aggro value. Sometimes it gets you another Rin, sometimes it gets you a Tar Lurker, which is really good. 5 mana, 4/7 taunt is something priests can't deal with, and it's also something that paladins are going to have a lot of issues dealing with, simply because the amount of mitigations that modern paladins are running is kind of small. They don't really run equality anymore. Some do, but it's really more of a tech choice than anything. But most don't end up running equality. And more often than not, they want to be focusing on their own stuff rather than what they might be playing against, as a typical aggro deck tends to do. So Stonehill is just kind of solid value. Hellfire, it's standard board clear. Spellstone, standard. Again, stacks with Hellfire and Kobold. It's just heal, removal. Pretty good. Spellbreaker, I've considered moving Spellbreaker to a one of, because it's actually pretty hard to get a situation where you want to. It's not impossible. It's not like I've never been able to get value off of 2, but it feels like much more often than not I'm better off with only 1. It really just kind of comes down to I don't particularly know what to replace it with. I've joked to myself, oh, I'll just do Tank Master again. But it's just, Tank Master's the same deal as Spellbreaker, but it's just far less reliable. It'll take down a cube completely. It'll completely deny a demon stack off of Gul'dan if you pull it off before they actually get to play it. But ultimately, this deck already has enough going on that it can deal with the double board flood that a Cube Lock or other Control Lock can pull off, which means it's not even useful for the deny. Considered another Dreadlord just for the anti-aggro value, but it feels like a bit of a waste there, just because that's another thing that Gul'dan can pull. And when we're only running 2 Void Lords, we have I don't actually know the exact odds. I believe it's a 3 in 4 chance of getting both Void Lords back off of Gul'dan if we play it before N'Zoth. And we don't really want to be mitigating those odds, because we want to be getting as much as possible off of that. That's the reason we don't run Abyssal Enforcer either. That's why we don't run Trafficker, which could be a really good but slow greedy value card in a slow and greedy value deck. Cruel has no real value. And then, again, towards the higher end of things, because if this were to replace anything, it'd be higher end. It's really nothing. Like, there's kind of an issue in the game lately where there's not many hugely useful neutral high cost cards. Like the Lich King is the one thing that comes to mind. Maybe Primordial Drake. But that kind of anti-aggro value that late just kind of seems moot. And so it's only because I'm not particularly sure what to replace it with. I feel like a Geist damages me a bit more and doesn't particularly help me in most situations. Like, I can get the Dark Pact off before I play it, but by the time that's happened, the priest has probably already gotten off their combo, or cannot actually get it off anymore because they've used up all their tools. And Jades are non-existent, which means it's not really useful for that either. Which, yeah, it really just leaves me in this really weird spot where it's like, oh, I could run Hydra if I was an aggro deck. But when my life total is so small and precious already, I don't want to be running something that big. I could run a Scale Bane, but I'm not really that board-centric, so it doesn't matter too much. I could try embracing the cube style, but then at that point, it's, well, should I even? I mean, you know what, just for the sake of trying something new, let's try putting in one cube. Not going for any kind of burst value, we're just going for raw sustain, hence the name. And then everything else here is standard. You're running Death Idols, you run Azoth. You're running Void Lords, you run Gul'dan. If you're a Control Warlock, you run Nether. Siphon Soul's just good for getting that one big thing off the board. Say your Spiteful Priest gets lucky with Deathwing or such. Anyways, we will queue up. Right. And again, I'm on full desktop capture just so you can see there's nothing tool assisting going on. I think we want to just mulligan all of this, because more likely than not this is Spiteful, and Sell It to File's not going to be too useful there. Actually, let's be careful. Okay, kept one. That's a good sign. Probably Librarian they kept. Or sorry, Historian. And we'll just drop this for tempo. And get a little pressure going, and it gives me a free hero power. Coin. Ascendant. Alright. This is very much going to be a tempo-based priest. We can do pretty well against that. Neither of these are great. Sagoth is basically impossible for the priest to take out. But we can play Stegadon next turn. This one's kind of tough. I think the Ascendance indicates that he's not running Spiteful Package, so I think we want to go for the tempo play. Alright. Seems to be the case. I actually have a Defile here. I have a Defile here, but I'm gonna be greedy about it. And then hit face. Alright. That doesn't particularly matter. We're gonna keep trying to get greedy with this, especially because our Void Lords are in our hands now, unfortunately. Alright. Next turn, we'll definitely go for this. I actually played this badly. That's pretty good. And I think we want to silence here. Okay, there is a Spiteful Package. Mind Control, it's going to be a 10 drop, and I'm going to say Cthulhu. Just for fun. You shard. Ugh. Lovely. Now I just need to last one turn. It's doable. Psychotron gives me some breathing room. Oh, that's perfect, actually. Yeah, that's kind of perfect. This would be perfect if I had one more mana. I think we're just going to try to remove as much damage now, because there's no guarantee that this doesn't get worse for us. Next turn I can stall. I can stall for a couple turns because I have my big taunts, I have Twisting Nethers. I think just getting stuff out of his deck might actually be useful for us. Okay. Hellfire Spellstone's looking really good here now. 1 in 9 chance? Yeah, 1 in 9 chance of just clearing the whole board right now. That'd be really nice. Bone Mare's gone? Okay. I really want to hold on to Twisting Nethers, but I don't think he runs revives when... Yeah, he's definitely not running Diamond Spellstone. I think this is okay. Because it is 8 mana, heal, 16, 19. Yeah, this stops lethal. He could cheat this out somehow and I lose. So I'm not going to risk that. A silence or pint-sized cabal and I lose the game. Not worth it. Next turn I can hardcast Voidlord. And I don't particularly care if he steals it, because then he wastes his turn stealing the Voidlord if he tries to steal it. And it reveals cards off his hand. Blood of the Ancient One. Okay. It'll be funny if this turns into something substantial, but I doubt so. Okay. I have a heal combo here. It keeps me alive with 9. Voidlord next turn. Ultrasaur. Cube's not going to be particularly useful here unless I can... Oh, silence. I'm dead. Mind control. Yeah, that was unfortunate. I think I was... I forgot I had a Twisting Nether. It wasn't that I forgot, but I didn't really consider it as an option. Tend to hold on to my Nethers quite dearly, but I think it should have been the play there just to hold on until I got a Dark Pact, because my odds were a 1 in 7 at that point. Oh well. Live and learn. On to the next game. Double Librarian. It's not always necessarily the best idea to have so much self-burn against a mage, but I think the card draw is more valuable than the 4 health. Because this lets us cycle through faster, lets us get our actual heals, it lets us get our weapon destruction in case they run Alaneth. Nosferatu Mills of Sorcerer's Apprentice, which would have been a fine drop just on itself. Also possibly diminishes any cheating he might do off of Primordial Glyphs and reduced cost burn. The fact that he didn't immediately concede shows that he's not trying to be Questless Exodia, and is likely just a tempo or burn mage of some kind. Coin... That's very odd, actually. Doesn't make sense. Oh well. That's both his apprentices gone. Cabal Crystal Runner, Secret Mage. Okay. So it is fully tempo. And we already have board advantage. We already have board advantage against a tempo deck, which always bodes well. And that's probably explosive Rin, so I'll try to get my Rin trigger off of that in 2 turns. I don't think I need to be playing anything for a while. Did he forget to end turn or something? I think he's tilted. I think he's tilted after the coin misplay. I think he just doesn't really know what to do now. Alright. Technically we could just go straight for the lackey. And then the turn after cube it. Actually, I think we want to save cube for Mistress. Because damage is still something to be concerned about. So we're going to get our Void Lord out. Yup. That's... I'd assume it's Counterspell. It's Test for Runes. Yeah, it's Counterspell. Counterspell or block, and I'm more inclined to think it's Counterspell right now. Unless he was actually floating the mana and just threw Ice Block this early. Ooh, here we go. He fatigues a lot faster with Thalanath, but he also has a lot more resources. I'm not gonna take a risk there. He's upset. Sunwalker's annoying to kill. Next turn I might just, Fire Swirl? Yeah, he's going for a kill. This is definitely the play. I need to start finding a dark pack so that I can just negate the counterspell. Because I'm convinced it's that and not Ice Block. He has Pyroblast. He's setting up for Pyroblast lethal. Absolutely, that's what it is. Perfect. Now I can do this, we can do this, we can do this. We have healed out a range again, and now we have another 2 mistresses to heal for 8 more. I'd almost say in this matchup that... Actually, yeah, it might be worth it to just... Yeah, it is. Because he pinged. It is absolutely worth it here to just Gul'dan. this too. Just to guarantee we get our Void Lord back. Actually, wait, we already had it back. What am I doing? The only thing that matters here is staying out of lethal range. Only thing that matters here. Fatiguing is second, and that's what we're about to do. But as it stands, I don't see him winning. He's run out of gas because Alaneth is gone. He's wasted all his burn because he was trying to Pyroblast me. Oh, he's just popping his combo and he's going to concede. Yup. Alright then. Pretty solid, convincing win. It's 6 o'clock. I gotta head out to a class. So I'm gonna end things here. And as you can see, current version of HS tracker because the stats are up to date. I'm gonna end it here and probably just do another part of this because I had less time than I thought. I'm doing more games of Control Warlock, and then after that, probably just gonna try to do something special. Alright, cheers.